we have a number of new beginnings here that are hidden in sometimes the harshness and even the punishment of God, or what seems to be that. Let's begin with our two saints. Sixtus II was perhaps one of the most venerated of the martyred bishops of Rome. He was bishop for only a year in Rome, but under that time, the Emperor Valerian, who had been pretty favorable to Christians, and Christians had grown and prospered, but nonetheless there was always this is about 250 AD, there was always a suspicion because the Christians were atheists. They did not worship the Roman gods. And whenever there were problems in society, they got blamed. Now, Valerian found it very interesting. He was not at home in Rome. He was out fighting the Persians. And that Persian war did not go well. And it seems like he, on the one hand, blamed the Christians because of the misfortune of the Roman Empire. And so he issued from Persia a harsh decree against them and ordered the leadership of the church throughout the unknown world. This is the persecution that extended through the whole Roman Empire, that the leadership basically be exterminated. If they wouldn't worship gods of Rome, get rid of them. So Sixtus and all 7 deacons of the Church of Rome were martyred, 6 of them on one day, and the 7th was St. Lawrence, who was martyred 3 days later. Greed seemed to enter into that too, because the wealthy people of Rome saw this as a chance to get a little more wealthy, especially with the emperor far away. They could increase their power. So what do we have here? We've got a situation where the church is essentially scapegoated. But out of that blood came also a period of prosperity until the time of Diocletian, the worst of the persecutions by far, and then a total turnaround. God creates new beginnings. We've got new beginnings in the Old Testament here, new beginnings of the punishment for the infidelity of the Jews was that they couldn't enter the Promised Land, and so they were barred from it for 40 years, camping, wandering around the area. And yet, the new beginnings was that a whole new leadership was going to come and actually lead them into the Promised Land. Cajetan, very interestingly, he was kind of a contemporary of Ignatius, but his order, the Theatines, concentrated on working for reform among the people, among the poor, even to the extent that he saw economic needs for the poor, and established a number of banks associated with his order. And actually the Banco di Napoli, which existed until last year, owes its origin to actually the work of St. Cajetan, Gaetano in Italian. And finally here, another new beginning, in the gospel. And what I think is significant there is that sharing your sustenance and sharing your gifts with the foreigner, the stranger, was part of the Torah, was part of the ancient law. And Jesus seems not to have understood that until this Canaanite woman calls it to his attention that God's will is to share the bounty of his grace with everybody, without exception, without distinction. And so her incident is so famous there because through her perseverance and courage and standing up for her rights, really, Jesus even had a learning experience, and it was recognized that God's will is not exclusive but inclusive. So let's look for the hidden ways. We've got 4 little examples here. Let's look for the hidden ways in our own day, our own life, our own work and ministry today. Look for the hidden ways that God maybe challenge us, maybe through something painful, to see a new dimension of his grace at work in our lives and in our world. The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew.
Glory to you, O Lord.
At that time, Jesus withdrew to the region of Tyre and Sidon, and behold, a Canaanite woman of that district came and called out, "Have pity on me, Lord, Son of David. My daughter is tormented by a demon." But he did not say a word in answer to her. His disciples came and asked him, "Send her away, for she keeps calling out after us." Jesus said in reply, "I was sent only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel." But the woman came and did him homage, saying, "Lord, help me." He said in reply, "It is not right to take the food of the children and throw it to the dogs." She said, "Please, Lord, for even the dogs eat the scraps that fall from the table of their masters." Then Jesus said to her in reply, "O woman, great is your faith. Let it be done for you as you wish." And her daughter was healed from that hour. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
A reading from the book of Numbers. The Lord said to Moses in the desert of Cajetan, "Send men to reconnoiter the land of Canaan, which I am giving the children of Israel. You shall send 1 man from each ancestral tribe, all of them princes." After reconnoitering the land for 40 days, they returned, met Moses and Aaron and the whole congregation of the children of Israel in the desert of Cajetan and at Kadesh, made a report to them all, and showed the fruit of the country to the whole congregation. They told Moses, "We went into the land to which you sent us. It does indeed flow with milk and honey, and here is its fruit. However, the people who are living in the land are fierce, and the towns are fortified and very strong. Besides, we saw descendants of the Anakim there. Amalekites live in the region of the Negev. Hittites, Jebusites, and Amorites dwell in the highlands, and Canaanites along the seacoast and the banks of the Jordan." Caleb, however, to quiet the people toward Moses, said, "We ought to go up and seize the land, for we can certainly do so." But the man who had gone up with him said, "We cannot attack these people. They are too strong for us." So they spread discouraging reports about the children of Israel, about the land they had scouted, saying, "The land that we explored is a country that consumes its inhabitants. And all the people we saw there are huge, veritable giants. We felt like mere grasshoppers, and so we must have seemed to them." At this, the whole community broke out with loud cries, and even in the night, the people wailed. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "How long will this wicked assembly grumble against me? I have heard the grumblings of the children of Israel against me. Tell them, 'By my life, says the Lord, I will do to you just what I have heard you say. Here in the desert shall your dead bodies fall. 40 days you spent in scouting the land. 40 years shall you suffer for your crimes, 1 year for each of them. Thus you will realize what it means to oppose me. I, the Lord, have sworn to do this to all this wicked assembly that conspired against me. Here in the desert they shall die to the last man. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.